During one of the things that, in fact, every person in the flesh body is interested in or is concerned with is health and healing. Well, I happen to have right now. I happen to have a patient who underwent a surgical operation, and that I'm some sort of caregiver, and so this notion of healing now comes to the forefront for me. Now, we all want to be comfortable, to be fine in the physical body. And I think it's but natural, it's but normal that we seek good health. So, how do we approach healing in the Nunowness? Because it is a complex. When we talk of healing here, we'll go all the way from the physical to the subtle bodies, to the five bodies to all the five bodies that we have. So, how is this subject of healing? Maybe without taking our conventional medicines, our poisons, and all the like. How is it affected in the Nunowness?
Well, again, you're referring to creation and what's taking place in creation. And actually what healing is, it's part of cause and effect, isn't it? It has nothing to do, it has nothing to do with the real universe. It has nothing to do with the isness life is or your real awareness. It has to do with creation. And so what are we dealing here with? We're dealing with cause and effect. And again, it's like anything. It's like how long, and it's your choice. How long do you want to be here? How long do you want to be okay? You might say that's one way of looking at it. And so, again, it's a personal choice how you want to be healthy or healing. You do that. If you go to the gym or if you're running and you work out and you're eating great food and whatever, that's good. And I would recommend that because that's what I do too. I don't do it perfectly, no, because I do have my little enjoyments here too. I have a few little things that I do, and it's just part of the personal self. And really, I don't even really want to do some of these things sometimes, but I just do them anyhow because, life here is what it is. And so the healing aspect is the same way, but it's cause and effect. And it really is choice. I have certain things that take place with me, and I could just jump up and go to the doctor or get a healer or heal myself or whatever, but I don't always do it. I just kind of let it be sometimes, and then I just deal with it. I deal with the pain or what have you. It's not that important to me to really do something about. It's kind of like your car. Maybe you should have the tires checked to where the proper inflation is in there, or maybe it needs an oil change or a brake job, but you don't always do it, do you? You don't take the time to do it because you're focused on other things, and I'm focused on just presenting this here. And I know that whether I'm healthy or not, that I can still do this. This is the most important thing to me. So health is a choice. Anything in cause and effect creation, anything in creation is a choice. That's really what it is. It's not that you must do something. And, Paul talked about certain things, and he talked about the Friday fast and things like this. And that's all fine, too. He did a lot of those things. And he just recommended them. But actually, none of it is necessary. because none of it has to do with your real awareness, but you decide your journey and how you are going to do it. And so because all of us have been through so much and so many so-called different paths and teachings and all this stuff, and we're still relating all these things, it's all out there. I don't, for the most part, get into too much of that simply because, and Paul wrote the book, The Herbs of Magic Healer, and I was with his Sanasu thing that he created with Dr. Bernard Jensen in those days, etc., and that's kind of what it was at that time. But now I just take care of myself in my own way, and each person accordingly. But that's time and space, and not to be confused that thinking that, oh, because you're healthy, you're a better person or you're more spiritual or whatever. Well, again, those ideas do relate. Oh, gee, you're more spiritual. Well, again, what we're doing has nothing to do with spiritual. That's something in creation that sounds good, and it has its place, just like being a monk or a nun in a monastery, etc. Hey, go have fun with it. But it has nothing to do with the isness life is. And so however you see that or bring that into your life, that's your choice. And it's really a personal issue, isn't it? And everything in creation is actually a personal issue. So whatever you decide in creation, that's a personal position for yourself. That's personal. And so we do get involved in the personal elements because we are in creation, but the bigger view is the isness itself. Because here's the deal, and that is that is just suppose that everybody really recognized the isness. Well, what we have in the world, the Skype and all these systems and that, we wouldn't need any of this. We wouldn't need any of the restrictions, the limitations, or anything that's going on. We absolutely wouldn't need it. So again, there is a difference. And so this is, again, I constantly say, learn to recognize this isness. And by the very fact that if others don't, at least you can. But it is up to you to do so. So health is fine. It is just a choice. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It is just a choice in creation. Yes, thank you for asking, Charles.
Yeah, Duane, I ask because they always say, life, we should look at ourselves as we'll take this earth, this physical body, as our launching pad. And I want to think that our health, as is often said, they say a healthy spirit in a healthy body. And it enables us to be able to function here. And I think we should be concerned about it. Like I see the videos by Kelsey and Vesna has a lot of information about health, Kelsey about the juicing and all the like. I think that attests to the importance of health at this level of life. No one can actually be incapacitated and we go out there and be able to do something in a meaningful manner. But what I want to ask is, are there situations where before coming into this life, one makes a choice to be unhealthy in order to go through a process or let's say some kind of purification? I don't know whether some people could make those choices to stay at this level of life unhealthy, assailed by so many health issues in order to undergo a kind of purification.
I would say you're correct, simply because that just even coming into this life, you look at this place, and from the real side, it's kind of like flying in an airplane and looking at the earth below. from 20,000 feet, everything looks pretty good and pretty peaceful. It's like, oh, everything looks pretty good and peaceful down there until you get onto the planet itself and you're with everybody here and what's going on. Then it doesn't look the same, does it? All of a sudden you're here. And because of the impact of the place and what's going on here, it's very real and upfront. You forget why you came here. You forget why you decided here. So I would say yes, we do decide, many of us, if not all of us, to take on whatever it is while we're here so we can go through the process of waking up and getting beyond it. You see, that's why we're here. So again, like Chris going through boot camp, I don't think he was, I would guess that he was not going to make boot camp his career, but yet to go through it and get beyond it, that's the idea. So this is where we're at here. We're in boot camp, and it's to get through it so that we can recognize how to get beyond it. So yes, I see to where, many people come in to this life, and then all of a sudden they have diseases and challenges, huge challenges, cancers and whatever, but they face it and they get beyond it and they go out there and they start to share with others what's taking place. And so this is cool. These are risk takers, but at the same time, unless they have the whole picture, they're providing something, but it's still self-limiting. Because yes, you can heal yourself, but you're still growing old. And you'll still come to the point where you forget. Doesn't matter how healthy you are. Hey, Jack LaLanne and Braggs and Arnold Ehret and all these people, they're gone. Because again, they only last so long. So you've got a whisper there, etc. And now you got the bigger challenge of what's going on with the GMO and the Wi-Fi and the chemtrails and everything else here, HARP. Smart meters and vaccines, etc. So now you got a bigger challenge. You have the synthetic technological tech age here, just vamping everything, and everybody is vampires is really what they are for the most part. They just want to take over everything. So we've all come in. I knew this before coming in. I could see all this, the possibilities. This is already here. Inky and the boys and the bad boys, the dark brats, were already here for eons upon eons. And it took many lifetimes to go through getting ready to prepare to present this to this world. So, it doesn't matter if a person comes in to have cancer or whatever. They don't even have to decide that because they're going to have it. And by the very fact that now it's a new moment, it's right now, it's a new moment, every moment is new, decide how to handle that and what to do with it. Avoidance is, you might say, futile, because again, maybe your body is pretty good or you're getting it pretty healthy, but you're still breathing the nanos that are in the air and receiving the Wi-Fi's and everything else that's affecting you. So again, this is where, being healthy and yes, presenting these things and whatever, it's great. But we don't want to get too far out with it because, again, it is not the ultimate. It is just something to sustain you from moment to moment while you're presenting and at the same time recognizing this all is while you're here, because there's no guarantee when you leave here that you will. There is none, because most people will just come back anyhow because they won't know where to, you might say, go. So they come back and they come back and back and back. And okay, maybe they need it, maybe they don't, but you don't have to. There's a better position to stand real with, to where that it creates a greater benefit to everything. So again, Charles, it's amazing the choices we make, but if we don't do it, then if we don't put ourselves through the process, and just like Chris putting himself through the military and becoming a Marine and now seeing what it is, if he didn't do that, he probably would still be in La La Land with the marketing ploy of what he thinks it is. It's like, oh, it'd be cool to be a soldier, but he never tried it. Now he sees what it is, and now he sees that, oh, there is something better than being a soldier, and that is that recognizing the real guides and waking up all the way. A lot better than being a soldier. So, again, we put ourselves through the process so we can see what isn't real, and then eventually recognize what is. Yeah. So yes, we do. We put ourselves through this hell so we wake up and see what is real, and then we're able to clear the way for ourselves. Go ahead, Charles. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Duane, I want to ask, you introduced me to someone in Hong Kong who was following up with the funding. So I don't know whether he's part of the new presentation.
Yes, that was because they had developed relationships with about 22 countries. I'm assuming that they did give you the information. This was a while back, months ago, about that. That was the idea. That was just a step. In other words, because I look to you and Miriam, and especially you because you speak English, for this understanding of what's going on in Africa. And I know it's the whole world is political, okay, political, religious control, and that's a given. And so, but you have the best understanding, and they had, they had created relationships with about 22 countries. Now, I didn't investigate this because, I would look to someone like you that better understands the situations in Africa, and according to these relationships that they had developed, okay, because as you read through it, you'd better understand it. So if I read a manual on how to build a rocket ship, I'm not going to really understand it because that's not my thing. But so I would get somebody that knows this technical part and has built rocket ships, and I'd ask him to define it more so in a simple manner to where I could understand what's going on. Then I can be creative with it. So that's kind of where it lied, Charles, and I kind of gave it to you because, again, you have the understanding of Africa and the relationships and the political maneuvers and what is taking place there. So, yes, these are some of the people that I'm relating to the world funding. It's very real. And so because as we go along here and the funding finally does come, it's been a long time coming because there's huge resistance that does not want it. I see Africa is a huge part of this, and this is, again, we're being pointed to, but in the meantime, we're doing everything we can. But that's the idea, Charles. You're right. It has to do with that. But really, the bigger part is the funding is just an aspect of what we're doing. Eventually, we'll get beyond all of that. But right now, that's part of it. And so when we reach our destination, we use the vehicle to get there. We use the car. But after a while, we don't need the car anymore. And so in the meantime, we're seeing how we can, you might say, work our way in with these people. And if they will in some way recognize what we're presenting, because it is a real benefit and our intent is very true and real. And we have no hidden agendas like the UN, etc. And so that's the idea, Charles, yes. Yes.